Jack from B&T MacFarlane, and today we're going over the Kubota R640, so let's get into it. Today we're lucky enough to have an R640 set up and ready to go to do a video on. So the R640 sits inside of Kubota's wheel loader family. I have made videos in the past comparing wheel loaders to skid steers and wheel loaders to tractors and whatnot, but today's the first time we actually get to take an in-depth look at the Kubota R640. So it sits in the wheel loaders class, like I mentioned. Inside of this class you have the R430, the R540, and the R640. So it is the biggest wheel loader that Kubota offers. It has the most weight, the most lift capacity, and the most capabilities. So we're going to go into today what kinds of applications you would expect to find this loader in and when you can use this loader. So a question we get asked a lot is what kinds of attachments can a wheel loader run? So typically a lot of people will be using this as a loader machine, hence the name wheel loader. So you'll find this a lot on job sites where you need to move material, move pallets. It does have the skid steer style quick attach like you would see on a skid steer, but it doesn't run the same attachments that you would find on a skid steer. Right here, this is about the most hydraulic flow you would see on some of the implements you'd be able to run. You might be able to push it into a sweeper. We actually use one of those here. So a low flow sweeper you would be able to run, but any high flow attachments, think snow blowers, trenchers, asphalt machines that you would find on a skid steer that has those high flow hydraulics, you won't be able to run on here. The flow out the front of the machine is not quite enough to run some of those implements. So you're going to be limited to implements that don't require any hydraulic flow. So think snow pusher, bigger buckets, blades, hydraulic blades that angle left and right like this one here, pallet forks and stuff like that. So think of this as a real king at material handling and material moving. It's going to be bigger than a skid steer. It's going to lift more than a skid steer. So we're going to go into that a little bit more in depth here. One of the most important things you're going to be considering when you're looking at a loader like this is going to be the lifting specifications. So like I mentioned, you have the standard skid steer style quick attach, so you're going to be able to get into any universal buckets, forks, anything like that. So the lift capacity with a bucket on the machine lifts to a maximum of 7,500 pounds. And that blows away any skid steer that Kubota makes. The 75, the 97, the 65, all of them don't even come close to the lift capacity of this R640. And with a set of pallet forks, you're going to be lifting over 6,000 pounds. So pretty much anything that's going to be able to fit on the pallet forks, you will be able to lift. So think pallets of interlock. People even move full cars or skid steers with them as well, some smaller skid steers. The one thing to keep in mind if you do end up using this loader for skid steer like applications with a set of pallet forks, you're going to want to make sure you get the proper pallet forks. There's a lot of pallet forks you can get that are rated for 4,000 pounds, 5,000 pounds. You want to make sure that the forks you get are well within the specs of this R640 because it will lift again in that 6,000 pound mark to the top of the lift height. So you need to get forks that are at least rated for 6,500 pounds to be able to safely operate them with this loader. And this loader will also lift to a height of 13 feet 8 inches. So you're going to be able to easily load triaxle dump trucks, which is why we see this a lot at landscape supply stores. So people that load gravel and topsoil, because it's very handy to have around the yard. You can get the buckets with a half-yard bucket, 1 yard bucket, 1.5 yard buckets right from Kubota. So you're able to easily load dump trucks, trailers, or whatever else people might come in with to get material loaded into. So we can't have a machine in front of the camera here with this beautiful HLA blade without actually talking about some of the snow applications of this machine. So they work extremely well in the winter. We actually use one here at this yard. We use one at our other yard, and I've personally used this R640 a lot for snow clearing applications, and it works exceptionally well. The 64 horsepower engine is a beast in the snow. You're going to be able to push buckets fulls of snow. You're going to see this a lot used in commercial parking lot applications. It is slightly too big to do residential laneways, especially if they're tight to each other. You're better off getting a tractor, but if you're doing parking lots, this is going to be extremely handy for you because it's not like a giant 100 horsepower loader where it's tough to maneuver in some tighter parking lots. It still is relatively small when you're thinking about a loader. So you're able to get into those hard to reach places, down back alleys to clear snow. So we do sell a lot of these into commercial snow applications and for guys who also use them in the summer for landscaping. So it is very versatile if you're looking to get into the landscaping and snow clearing business. So taking a look at the outside of the cab and the exterior of the machine as a whole, as you see it here is how it pretty much comes standard from factory. It does come with those front fenders, which is nice. Again, if you're doing snow with it, you don't want that snow blowing back up into the cab. It does come with the mirrors, the front LED work lights, and they also have these kind of road fog lights that come on the machine. The only things that are extra that you will see are going to be those rear LED work lights. We send about 99% of these loaders with those. It is very, very nice to have. And then that strobe light as well, that is a must if you are doing commercial snow. But everything else you see on the machine is coming standard right from Kubota. So looking inside of the Kubota R640, it's what you'd expect from Kubota. It's a very nice operator's experience. All the controls are well labeled, well laid out. Some things to note is these all come with a hydraulic coupler, so you are able to switch between forks and a bucket and non-hydraulic attachments with just the push of a button. You have your 2-speed travel up here on the joystick. So this joystick is going to be where you're going to be pressing most of the buttons while you're using it. You're going to be able to flip between forward and reverse on it with just a flip of a button, switch between high and low settings. And then over here on the right hand side, you're going to have your auxiliary controls, your bucket float modes, your lights, and then your windshield wipers as well, front and rear windshield wipers, and there's also washer fluid as well. One thing to keep in mind when you're looking at a loader versus a skid steer is going to be the visibility and the operator's safety inside of the cab. When you're up here, you're a lot higher than everything around you, so you're able to have clear line of sight of everything 360 degrees. When you're in a skid steer, you're kind of tight and compact. You can really only see in front of you. It has gotten better with backup cameras and bigger windows on Kubota skid steers, but you're nowhere near the visibility that you're going to see in this wheel loader. I can look 360 degrees all the way around me, so when you're clearing snow in a parking lot late at night, this is going to be much safer than using a wheeled skid steer option. So this wouldn't be a ultimate winter wheel loader without heat, so the heat in this does throw significant heat. It also has rear defrosters as well, so it does melt the snow around that windshield washer unit. And then it also has air conditioning, so if you're using this in the summertime, there is air conditioning in it as well. And as you can see, the door goes wide open like that, so if you don't really want the AC on, you can just leave this door open for easy in and out. This door also pops open. It doesn't have to open fully like this one. It can just crack a little bit, so you can get a little bit more flow through there. So taking a look at the back of the machine, you will be greeted by the engine. It's what you'd expect from Kubota. Everything's properly laid out. All the filters and oil checks are very easily accessible back here. Since it does sit over 26 horsepower, you will have a DPF, so that's going to clean your emissions before it leaves the engine. It's really nothing to worry about anymore. We don't see too many issues with these type of loaders because they do rev so high in the rev range when they are working. When you're clearing snow, loading material, it does naturally rev up when you press that pedal, so there's really not too much to worry about with these. And then you have a pin back here as well, so you can tow some smaller trailers. It's a little bit high for a normal landscape trailer, but if you do get kind of an adapter, you can tow some things with this loader. So there are a couple different tire options when you're looking at the R640. You can get them with Nepean snow tires, standard tires, or industrial tires. The most common ones we send them out with are going to be the standard tires because they are the most affordable, or the Nepean tires. On the other end of the spectrum, these are the most expensive, but if you're going to be doing commercial snow with them, they are going to be the best. The pushing power you get just from having Nepean snow tires is unbelievable. You're going to be able to push way more material just by switching out the tires, and you're going to have more traction. And they're going to have a longer life as well. So Nepean tires, they are pretty famous for lasting forever. We see some tractors that come in here with 5,000 hours on Nepean tires, and they're still the same original set of tires right from factory. So if you're going to be doing a lot of road running with this as well, from parking lot to parking lot, getting Nepean tires is going to be well worth the investment. If you're looking for an R640 from Kubota, one of the things to keep in mind is going to be the travel speed. At top speed, these will go 20 kilometers an hour, which can be fairly cumbersome if you're planning on driving it up the road from point A to point B, job site to job site. It is a lot faster and more efficient, to put these on the back of a trailer and tow them between job site. If this machine's going to be staying at a single job site or between job sites that are relatively close to each other within a couple of kilometers, these can be extremely useful. They work way above their class in situations like that. They will push a lot of snow and move a ton of material. But again, if you're shopping around and you want a loader that's going to be able to drive 40 kilometers an hour up the road, down the road, between job sites, long distances, that is something to keep in mind with this loader. So that's where we're going to wrap up today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you have any comments, leave them down below. If you're enjoying the videos, remember to like and subscribe. And if you need help with parts, sales, or service, give us a call at 613-225-0555. Thank you.